Liverpool versus Forest. This is a massive game because I think Liverpool have got so much momentum. The way Salah is still scoring so many goals, getting so many assists, he's still top 3 players in the world for me. He's world class. He ripped Man United a new one. It wasn't hard really. Against Forest, I've not seen much this season from Forest so far. I think it's gonna be another perfect result. It could be another clean sheet as well. How surprised are you by Arne Slot coming in? They've not conceded a goal. They've scored so many goals already. Yeah. Are you surprised?
I'm surprised because only in the sense that Klopp in his last year looked like as if the team was tiring. And I thought that maybe that whole work ethic of how Klopp's had them since day one, maybe it's starting to take its toll on the squad. But Arne Slot's been able to come in. Maybe just the positional, like just the positional side of the game, he's got them to play at not covering as much distance in this last couple of games as he's been there, because they're playing quite high press. They're getting away with Gravenberch being in midfield as the lone midfielder. So he's just in there to tick on the offensive side. Yeah. And if they lose it, obviously in football, you play high, you congest high, it's tighter spaces, you'll win the ball back in recoveries. So I feel like Arne Slot's going down a Pep kind of style route in the way how he wants to play on the forward front of it. And I feel like they just have to get someone solid in there, like how you have Rodri.
Yeah, they need that, don't they? But I think you're right about they couldn't find the right person. They were looking for Zubimendi. I think I've heard rumours that could be reignited in January or later, maybe next summer. But I think you're right. I think 95% of sides in the league, they're going to have most of the ball, particularly at Anfield as well. You don't necessarily need Rodri. I think Gravenberch moves the ball very, very close to Rodri. Not nowhere near really, but similar kind of player. But I think if you're coming up against Man City and there's a tart race on, I don't know if Liverpool are in it. Maybe we can debate that later, but I think you do need that player off the ball that can be a little bit more defensively, like Fernandinho, Kante, and that's where I think they'll get exposed. McAllister and Gravenberch, they kind of compensate for each other because neither of them can do it by themselves, and they might get found out. But against Forest, I think they're going to batter Forest, mate.
Yeah, I don't feel like Forest for me seem to be a lot better out wider. They don't really have a stronghold in midfield, so I feel like again Liverpool will be able to get away from not having to play against someone as structurally strong in midfield. Yeah. So possibly you'll probably see another clean sheet probably from Liverpool. It's at home, Liverpool, right?
Yeah. At home.
Yeah. I'll be very surprised if Forest score there, but they got attacking threats with Hudson-Odoi and Elanga, but I feel like they'll be able to dominate that midfield again.
I think they'll win these kind of games. The thing about Jurgen Klopp is Liverpool needed to be at 100% every single week. Yeah. The gegenpress, and they usually were, and that's because of how genius he was as a manager. But with this Arne Slot system, you can just keep it a little bit more Guardiola, a little bit more just knocking it side to side, keep possession. You don't need to be at 100% all the time.
Yeah. And Trent being in there as well, it's just like there's no one better to have being on the ball in them areas with the team pressing so high, because no one really wants to press a player like Trent in possession.
100%. So. And I wonder if Chiesa will feature as well. He's obviously yet to feature for the club. He was going for £80 million a few years ago.
Great signing.
£12 million.
Great.
Less than Birmingham City.
We spend 10 times that amount on midfielders.
On the interest on Caicedo.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
With your Wonga loan. Come on, man. Let's do a score prediction. I'm going 3-0 Liverpool versus Forest.
I probably would have been on the 3-0, 4-0 side of it as well.
I think they'll smash it, mate.
Yeah.
Let's do Bournemouth Chelsea. You're away.
Well, we haven't kept an away clean sheet, I think, since October last year. I think 18 Premier League straight games we haven't kept a clean sheet away from home.
But a lot of entertaining games, a lot of high-scoring games. You have won a lot of those away from home.
Yeah, towards the end of last season.
Yeah, definitely. But Bournemouth, they're not the same side without Solanke. I know they brought a few players in. They've lost Lloyd Kelly, who I thought was a decent, versatile defender at the back. What do you think of Bournemouth going into this game? How can they hurt you?
Well, they're going to have a lot of confidence from the last game against Everton in the last stages of the game. So even when they were 2-0 down, they'll still have hope that if the game ain't punished, they'll have a chance. Everton aren't obviously the greatest sides to be fearing of being 2-0 up. But yeah, I feel like if we don't get a 2-0 lead quite early in that game, they're going to have massive confidence of being able to nick one, especially back at home.
That Semenyo, he's looked unbelievable, man. He's due for a big move. And Alex Scott, like Alex Scott a lot. But what about Chelsea then? Firstly, what's the front three?
That's a bit of the. I feel like Maresca, in a way, started with Noni Madueke and Mudryk to start off the season to kind of like he's kind of hung them, really. I think it's like he's put them out to dry, that if they didn't put in a good performance, they were easily droppable to be the squad players that he probably wanted them to be for the long run, and then bring in Pedro Neto, try to bring in João Felix, possibly Nkunku.
Yeah.
But I never really liked Nkunku against you lot. Like when Nkunku played on the left-hand side, he looked out of it. Rico Lewis defended absolutely brilliantly against
Easy,
him.
wasn't it?
Yeah. And I feel like he'd still have the option of going with Nkunku, with Pedro Neto, with João Felix, and that would have been the way forward. Maybe even possibly put Cole Palmer out on the right sometimes when he wants to play him there, and then have someone else in the 10. Like, there's so many players in that front line that...
Crazy, isn't it?
Because Madueke scored that hat-trick, it kind of bided him a bit of time. I think Mudryk has been... I don't know why he wasn't sold or at least loaned out in the window, because I don't see him getting any minutes, because João Felix came on in his first debut, scored within 15 minutes of the game. Neto looks very lively. He's a very good player. So I don't think Jackson's getting sat down anytime soon up front.
So Jackson down the middle, Madueke on one side is sort of 2 out of 3 guaranteed.
I feel like at the moment, maybe for this next game, he might get that start.
And then João Felix coming on his right foot.
João Felix, possibly. I don't think João Felix again starts yet.
No.
I think Cole Palmer will still play in the 10, and I think Neto will play on the left.
Oh, Neto on the left, yeah.
But I don't like Neto on the left, because he shows so much ability cutting in on his left.
Yeah.
It takes away his game of shooting and goals. And unless he becomes an assist merchant and whips in great crosses for Nicholas Jackson, I eventually want to see him go on the right, and maybe João Felix going off on the left.
That's crazy. You've got so many options.
Yeah, it looks great going forward, but at the back...
Yeah, against Wolves,
shambles.
You're electric. Yeah. So what's the sort of rough scoreline that you think could be realistic against Bournemouth? Do you beat them?
Yeah,
I don't know if you beat them.
Yeah, most people look at us and think, because of that Crystal Palace result, we're back into the old ways. But I think we'll be able to get them out. At the same time, if Everton can go 2-0 up against you, Everton, I think, are in that relegation battle as well. So for me, if they can go 2-0 up, we can also go 2-0 up. But
you have to win, man.
Yeah, it might be a 2-1, 3-1 kind of game.
You have to win.
Yeah, I'll go with 3-1, seeing as how well we've done scoring against sides away from home.
Yeah.
I'll go with 3-1.
3-1, yeah. Southampton versus Manchester United. Is this Erik ten Hag's final game as Manchester United manager if they lose to Southampton?
I think he's been under pressure recently because of the start to the new year. Like, I feel like every manager's supposed to be given a little bit of time to get his team together and all that kind of stuff. But since he's been in, he's got quite a few players, though, I think, personally, for his own backing. So the lack of improvement in terms of just the sturdiness in this midfield. Like, even when I was speaking just recently, when I was on the overlap with Scholesy, and like Scholesy was talking about, I haven't really seen many changes in the midfield. And it's kind of been that kind of way through the first couple of opening games. The amount of chances that even Fulham got on match day 1.
Yeah.
Like, it still looks a bit gaping in there. I feel like Kobbie Mainoo's been used as more as an advanced midfielder rather than a build-up midfielder. And I feel like that puts Casemiro on an island.
Yeah, it does.
So I feel like that's not it's never been his game. Just I think everyone kind of respects the fact Casemiro's not a build-up player.
Yeah.
He's a destroyer, plays a bit more higher up the pitch, kind of in where Kobbie's playing, but just not as on the ball as anything. Do you know what I mean? But they need someone in there that can sit beside Casemiro.
Wasn't it? It was embarrassing, man. The Liverpool performance, you're hooking off this 4-time Champions League winner, 5-time Champions League winner, and Liverpool just playing right through. And the Liverpool game was a big moment because you're seeing these two managers from similar backgrounds in terms of Dutch football, big clubs. It's the biggest game in English football. I know it's early in the season; it doesn't really mean anything in terms of league position so early in the season.
Yeah.
But they've got a way of playing. He's put Gravenberch in there, who's not really a DM in my opinion. He's not picking Endo. Obviously, he hasn't brought anyone in except Chiesa. Szoboszlai's in there knocking the ball around beautiful. McAllister was fantastic. Why isn't Erik ten Hag able to understand that surely he needs... Maybe it's keeping Scott McTominay. I know he's not a fan favourite, but how is he not coaching that Man United midfield to have more cohesion, spatially a bit more aware? It's just worrying, isn't it?
Yeah, I feel like Liverpool get a bit away with it more because at the end of the day, I still think like the quality of the squad will always show. And I feel like Liverpool have had that core with the Klopp era.
Yeah.
And even though they're getting to the end ages of their careers like Van Dijk and Salah and even Robbo to an extent, I still think the quality of them are still better than what United have been in their rebuild.
Yeah.
So I still think that they're better. But at the same time, you shouldn't be getting hit like that in a game like that. So
that's crazy, absolutely crazy, wasn't it?
yeah.
Let's go. So Southampton, obviously they've been so poor. I think they're relegation material
definitely.
in waiting, aren't they?
Yeah. Bought loads of players like they kind of bought loads of players like the Forest lot did.
Yeah.
But I feel like this group of majority, like they've bought so many players that I don't think are to a certain standard. So
no. They've got a young manager, Russell Martin, never managed in this league.
Yeah.
Did well to get them through the playoffs, of course, but you just think, wow, he's a little bit out of his depth. But there are spells where Southampton have been trying to play out from the back. I think they've been exposed trying to do that. What if they play out through the back, play through Man United's midfield, and win 2-0?
Well, I don't know. Like the Southampton squad, I'm not really sold on. Maybe another side might be able to play through them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not really sold on the Southampton team. But it's there, like we've seen with that midfield escaping. So I wouldn't be surprised if Southampton got more chances than usual. Because United was ranked second lowest side, or conceded most shots against them in the world of top 5 European football. Only Luton was worse than them. So for them to be on that level,
it's embarrassing.
You're talking about Mainz and Nantes from France and these kind of teams that are down there in the leagues, and it's like you're conceding more shots than everybody.
Shocking.
So it's
shocking.
Really poor.
What's the score prediction from you, Southampton, Manchester United? It's at St Mary's as well.
I'd go with maybe a 2-1 win
For Man United?
Yeah. I think they'll sneak one. They're struggling, but Southampton are really bad. Like Southampton couldn't beat a 10-man Newcastle.
That's true.
So
I'm going 2-0 Southampton. I've got to be loyal, man.
Go on.
Brighton Ipswich. This is the tactico derby, innit? Because you got Hertzler, you got Kieran McKenna. I think they've both been outstanding so far. I know the points aren't there for Ipswich yet, but they've had Liverpool, they've had Man City.
Yeah.
But mate, what do you make of Brighton? Let's start off with Brighton, because some of the players they brought in, that Rutter from Leeds United looks unbelievable.
Yeah.
Youngest, I mean, he's nearly as old as me.
Yeah.
Hertzler. Do you know what I mean? 31.
He's very young. Yeah, he's very young. So it's like it's been very impressive from Brighton, because I actually thought that they might be in a relegation scrap in the first 10 games. Because you look at their fixture list in the first 10 games, and it's like they're playing some big sides. So I thought they might have a rough start. Back-to-back opening games where they've been able to pick up results and stuff like that. It's
look good as well, don't they?
They've looked good, and it's just like the inclusion of like even the Minte
guy
out wide. It's like
he looks class, man.
It's kind of like how City have bought Salvio.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like they brought in a player, came in, he starts straight away. Like everyone was happy with Adingra.
Yeah.
They had the Inciso, they had the Buonete guy.
Yeah.
All of them seem to work well.
Yeah.
But now they've brought in this Minte guy, and he's even working. And João Pedro being in the front line, and even Welbeck being able to fight as long as he has to start in this team, it's forced him to actually play week in, week out. Yeah. And now you're seeing João Pedro as more of a 10 rather than the main striker.
He's silky, man. And Minter, man, mate, 2-footed, powerful, pace.
Yeah.
The crossing in the opening day of the season when they ripped Everton, mate, it was unbelievable.
And this is a team
30 mil.
30 mil is crazy. And this is a team who's been stripped of their best players.
By you lot?
By us, by Liverpool.
Mate, Hertz will be at Chelsea in a few weeks.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
And then Ipswich, I'm very gassed by them. Delap scored a great goal against Fulham. Maybe the Fulham keeper should have done better, but it doesn't matter. He's such a young lad. So gassed for Liam Delap. Ipswich stay up for you? Are you,
I don't know.
Confident about that?
By the looks of it, early doors, I'm still a bit sceptical. I think they might go down. But like you said, McKenna's style, he's done all right against 2 better sides.
Yeah.
So I still want to see how he comes up against a Bournemouth, the lower league side. You know what I'm saying?
In and around them.
Yeah, in and around them. Anyone in and around them, then we'll be able to gauge where they're really at. But for now, I'd have them going down with Ipswich, with Southampton. So I'm just skeptical of, is Leicester good enough to stay up? So
I think they got more about them than Leicester. For some
so?
reason, Leicester seem flat to me. There's this weight around the club. I think Ipswich can be a little bit more. They can experiment a little bit more. Something about Leicester signing Bobby Reid. Nothing against Bobby Reid. I like Bobby Reid a lot. Ayew for me. When you see Ayew getting a Leicester City shirt, you think, wow, man.
They're going for the more experienced route in it. But like McKenna's got nothing to lose really with the Ipswich.
Exactly. So many young kids. That Hutchinson, fantastic, man. Unbelievable. Let's do a quick score prediction for that. Brighton at home versus Ipswich.
I'll go with a 2-0 Brighton win.
Yeah, I will as well, actually. But I think Ipswich will pick up points eventually.
Yeah.
Let's do Man City Brentford, 3 p.m. Saturday.
What do you think the score's going to be in the Chelsea game? Actually?
Oh yeah, Chelsea Bournemouth. I think it'll be 1-1.
1-0. Wouldn't be surprised.
I think they're almost a better run side than you at the moment. I know Maresca's a good manager, but I like Iriola a lot, man.
Yeah, I like him.
Crazy. Man City Brentford. Let's just do it very quickly. 3 p.m. Saturday.
Yeah.
Haaland. There's a world he gets back-to-back hat tricks.
Yeah.
Against Brentford. Honestly,
potentially.
He looks scary good.
Scored the winner in the international break game.
Yeah, when Odegaard got injured. We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
Let's just talk about it then very quickly. Is it City's title to lose?
Well, when you've won it so many years on the trot, it's definitely yours to lose. But with everybody gaining in terms of the quality of the squads that they have and knocking on the door with better players and getting closer and closing the gap, it's a lot tighter. And I feel like the way that you let Julian Alvarez go, for me, I felt that it's going to be very, very reliant on whether Haaland can be fit throughout the majority of that season.
Yeah.
If he can play 34, 35 games,
that's
then
40 goals.
Yeah, if he,
it's outrageous.
It's mad. He'll put up them kind of numbers again this year. The first season numbers he'll be getting this season, but yeah, it's just he has to stay fit because you haven't really got the backup. I know people say, "Oh, but you can play Gundogan in the false 9 role, Foden in the false 9 role," but
it's not the same, is it?
It's not the same. Like Julian Alvarez, when he stepped in last year early on, I think he performed great for you lot.
He did, yeah.
Maybe not scored like loads of goals, but he made it look good and he worked in there. And even if you've seen Argentina recently, the goal he scored for Argentina is just, I feel like letting go of Julian Alvarez could be a 2-3 point swing.
Wow, that's crazy. What about Savinho, Oscar Bob?
Great players out wide. I think Savinho's looked unbelievable against us in his first game. Looked great in the second game. Doku's obviously always dangerous out wide.
Yeah.
You've still got Grealish there. So there's great quality out wide. It's just literally, what about you going away to Newcastle without Haaland on a 5:30 Saturday afternoon game? Do you know what I mean?
I know.
If it happens. But if he stays fit 34, 35 games, I think you lot might just edge it again.
I've never seen anything like Erling Haaland. And the thing about Erling Haaland that I think a lot of people miss is that when people criticise him, people call him a League 2 player. I think some of it is warranted because I think actually his level could be even higher.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If you're, I think he's been in second gear for a large part of his time at City. He's not picked up the ball 30 yards out, smashing things. I don't think he's in his prime. I think a lot of them are tap-ins still. What if he develops in someone where his build-up plays better? Look at Ronaldo. I know he's a different position. When Ronaldo came from Sporting Lisbon, he was a winger, had to come inside, score goals on his right foot, tucking in from the left wing. Then he kind of moved a little bit more narrow with Rooney, interchanging with Tevez and Rooney. Then he started scoring 35, 40 goals a season. You think maybe Erling Haaland could change something to his game where he's dropping deeper, he's scoring more goals from 25 yards out. He's not doing any of that at the moment.
I think his passing is only going to get better under the Pep system and under the training of Pep.
Yeah.
So eventually I think his build-up play and his link-up play might be a bit better. But we've seen so many clips of him in the training settings and him giving the ball away quite easily. But obviously under Pep, that can develop. So there's no better coach in the world nowadays than Pep.
What number, end of the season, all competitions, how many goals?
I'd probably put him on and around. You got more games in the Champions League format again this year,
yeah.
So possibly in and around the 55, 50.
I'm
55.
going 50. I'll go 60.
Go 60.
40 in the Prem.
40 in the Prem is high,
mate. It
it's
could
not
be
possible.
back to back.
It's not impossible.
Back to back hat tricks against Brentford.
Could be on 10 goals already.
Outrageous.
It's
10 and 4 potentially.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy.
It's outrageous. Let's just skim Palace Leicester. I think Glasner's had.
We haven't even given a prediction for Man City.
Oh yeah, mate. It's 3-0. I'm not being cocky, but it's like Brentford. They have caused issues against us, yeah. But Ivan Toney's not there anymore. I think it's 3-0. What about you?
I'd go with a 3-1, maybe a Wissa. You still show some frailties. You could see it against Ipswich.
Yeah, they break through early as well.
Yeah, maybe I'll go with a 3-1.
Okay, let's do very quickly Villa Everton then. Villa looking decent, good result against West Ham opening day of the season. I think they could smash Everton, man. It could be embarrassing.
Yeah, Everton. Again, it's a confidence game as well. At the same time, to be leading 2-0 up, having such a bad start to the season, and then looking like you're going to get 3 points, to then losing all 3 points.
Yeah.
Going to be damning on them. Aston Villa, they've had a couple tricky games as well at the start of the season. They've obviously played Arsenal. Should have beat Arsenal. should have been 2-0 up in that game. So I feel like they're going to be very hungry to want to get a 3 points in this game, and they're at home.
Yeah, they're at home.
Yeah, I feel like that will be another. Sean Dyche could be on the sacking on the chopping board.
Do you think David Moyes been lined up, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, wouldn't be surprised for him to go back. It's just rotational with managers nowadays. There ain't many out there, so. But he's not getting the most out of this Everton side, so.
I think that's harsh, man. I think that's so harsh.
You think it's harsh?
Man. Yeah, I think that's harsh, man. I think he needs to develop into the season. Everton are a very slow starting side. They've always got this pressure around them. They were fantastic at points last season, man. Defensive unit was fantastic. Branthwaite's still there. Pickford's still there.
Yeah.
I think it'd be harsh to sack Dyche unless David Moyes can definitely come in. But do we know David Moyes could do a better job than Sean Dyche? Bit older, a little bit past it in terms of... Sean Dyche is that kind of manager right now. He's what David Moyes was in 2005.
They always think people always think that change is automatically always going to give you a benefit. Like you said, is he going to be better than what Sean Dyche could do? Obviously, towards the end of the season, and even with their points deduction, if you added their points deduction back to them, they'd have probably been mid-table.
Yeah, they would have been about 10th, I think. 50 odd points. Got 48 points last season.
So, yeah.
It's not bad.
Maybe if they are slow burners, then, yeah, you will give them time. But I feel like the way they've started, it could just amount a lot of pressure on him. Maybe not get sacked straight away, but he's definitely looking towards on the chopping board. Yeah,
I agree. A lot of pressure there. Let's just do Palace Leicester very quickly. I think that's a 1-1 draw.
Yeah, Palace Leicester. Palace at home.
Yeah, Palace at home. Yeah.
They've done all. I feel like when teams play better sides the game week before, that they end up performing against better. When they play anyone that's on their level, that they always do better the next following week. Yeah. So I'd probably go with a 2-1 Palace win.
Yeah, I could see that happening as well. And then we've got Fulham, West Ham. Feels like another draw to me.
Fulham, West Ham?
Yeah.
London derby at Fulham. Yeah, that could potentially be one of the draws of the weekend.
Yeah, a few draws in there, I think. We'll talk about Spurs, Arsenal in a minute. Wolves, Newcastle United. I've actually been really impressed with Newcastle United. I think there's a stagnation around the club. I don't think it's necessarily their fault. Yeah. It's PSR, isn't it? And they've not been able to bring in the kind of players that they want to bring in. They've kept Isak, they've kept Bruno, they've kept, the Botmans of the world. Tonali's come back in. And they look fantastic against Spurs, man.
Yeah. I think showing that resilience of even going down to 10 men against Southampton in the first game of the season and then looking that good against Tottenham, considering Tottenham are one of those sides that people put in and around the top four. Newcastle going to have to fight themselves back into that European side. Obviously, last year, dealing with the Champions League wasn't great for them. I feel like it got a bit too much for them, especially with Tonali not being available. But now he's back, could be a massive difference maker because Bruno Guimaraes is great quality anyway in that midfield.
He's amazing, man. He was linked to City at the end of the transfer window.
Just even the likes of getting the best out of the Murphys and the Willocks. Like you're
Championship, man. How's Murphy still playing in the Premier League?
That's why I've rated Eddie Howe so much. I think, like Star Player on the pod, he would always criticise Eddie Howe, and I'm like, how can you criticise Eddie Howe with what he's doing with some of these players? Dan Burn, 6'10", or however tall he is, but to be able to be playing at left back as a utility man, and with their defence as what they had last season of getting injuries later on, I feel like now that they're back fit, Newcastle could also be very much up there.
I agree. They're really hard sides to play against. They're really well organised. I think Eddie Howe, he'll wait a year, see what happens with the transfer stuff, and I think he either a bigger club than Newcastle, maybe it's a Chelsea if they sack Maresca, maybe it's an Aston Villa if Emery moves on, and I think or it's England. I hope it's England as an England fan, but selfish. 100%. Wolves, a little bit flat back end of last season. They were on the beach. A lot of people were being a little bit fair to Gary O'Neill because everyone thought Wolves were going to get relegated last season. Yeah. They did so well at the first third of the season. They kind of guaranteed all their points. Then they lost loads of games at the back end of last season, but that's kind of continued this season. Yeah. I worry about Wolves a little bit.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they were down there fighting. Cunha and them lot last season, they were the reason why they were in and around it for the first half of the season. But yeah, very worrying signs against a Chelsea. Like I don't necessarily rate my side that greatly. So for Chelsea at the moment to put 6 past them, that's worrying for me at home because for what they've been doing to us in past recent years. Yeah. For them to score, for them to concede 6 was awful. But yeah, they could be in problems.
Yeah. Let's do a score prediction. Wolves, Newcastle United. I'll quickly go. I think I'll go 3-0 Newcastle.
I'll go 3-1.
Yeah, maybe we'll
I'll give them a goal.
Let's just do Spurs Arsenal very, very quickly. Arsenal without Marino, the new signing, Calafiori, freak injury, Odegaard, Declan Rice.
Worst possible time.
But is it though? My question is, obviously it's a big game, and obviously Spurs in the last few years, particularly at the new White Hart Lane, have caused Arsenal issues. But if there's one side that you could get away with a B-list midfield, still with Saka fit, Trossard fit, Martinelli fit, Sterling comes in. Sterling plays well against Spurs for City and for Chelsea. Maybe it's not that bad. There are worse sides to play than Spurs, how bad they are defensively, with all these gaps in their squad.
Obviously, with Basuma coming back into the squad, I feel like in that midfield battle was going to be crucial. And the fact that they won't have Odegaard and Rice, I always thought that even in my FPL, I was always planning my FPL for the first 10, 11 games, and I didn't have one Arsenal player in because I thought they had such a tricky start to the season. But in retrospect, I was always like, if Arsenal get through them 10 games, I think they're knocking on the door for the title. But now having these injuries in such a crucial part of what I thought the season would be, with the tricky fixtures
and the Brighton draw,
the Brighton draw of just being able to lose that 2 points of having going down to 10 men, them kind of games, they're the ones that kind of go against you when you're winning a league title, when you're trying to win a title. So having that many injuries against the Tottenham side that are quite decent in there.
They're good going forward, of course. But the way Newcastle scored against them last week, just ripped through, I think it was through Udogie at left back. You think Arsenal, if they can just go, I think they might have to just throw out their hands a little bit, throw away the philosophy of total control. Actually, it might be a little bit harsh saying that, because it's not like 18-year-old kids coming in. Jorginho on the ball, Partey on the ball. That's not bad. It's not ideal, but it's not bad. I think that's that. Who's that third one in midfield? Is it Zinchenko? Do they have to tuck in Ben White in midfield?
Yeah, the inverted thing might have to come back. They done it 2 seasons ago. It weren't so evident last year.
No.
But maybe Havertz drops into the midfield. Gabriel Jesus might start.
Yeah, that's not bad. But he's got an injury, isn't he? He's not fully fit.
Yeah, but I don't know. There's rumours of him being able to be coming into that squad and starting. So maybe even Havertz in that midfield. But
Wanyeri.
Yeah.
The young kid, Wanyeri. He's only played twice, but he's been linked to maybe starting as well. You think, that's crazy. Let's just do a very quick score prediction for Spurs Arsenal.
I'll go 2-2. I think there'll be goals in this game.
I want to say with my City hat on that Spurs will win this game. But I think Arsenal don't drop points back-to-back weeks. There'll be some mentality thing. It's not going to be clean. But I think Arsenal got a good chance of just outscoring Spurs because of how bad they are defensively.
With a fit squad, I would have definitely given an Arsenal win. But just with so many injuries of key players, I'll go for a 2-2 because that midfield is going to be...
I'm praying that you're right, mate. That's 4 points dropped. I mean, they're already 2 points behind City already. I mean, it's crazy.